Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another Retro RPG. And at the end of another Winner of the Losers poll, where the 5 losers of the last 5 polls go through and get one last chance to get a video made on them, we've got a clear winner which surged ahead at the last minute. We've got Denver City of Shadows for Shadowrun First Edition. So we'll go over to the desktop in a second and have a look at that, but I'll be back at the end of the video with some more information about the poll, next week's poll, and some other channel related stuff. So I'll see you there. So this is the Denver City of Shadows box set, a campaign set for Shadowrun by Nigel D. Findley. A wonderful, wonderful author who passed away far too young. He died at the age of only 35. And he wrote some of the best novels and source books and adventures for Shadowrun. He really was core for my enjoyment of the game, at least. And, oh, what a tragedy we lost him so young. But let's have a look at the back cover. Let's enjoy what he made first. Denver, a mile high and 6 feet under. Welcome to the Front Range Free Zone. That's Denver for you out-of-sync jokers. It's a subdivided, Drek-infested, dead-dried tinderbox waiting for some political pyromaniac with slippery fingers to drop a match. It's the centre of the black market for most of North America and the crossroads of the 6 nations. Aslan, CAS, Pueblo, Sioux, Ute, and Yucas. They get along with each other about as well as the rest of us do, all jandering for position and a slightly bigger piece of the turf. It's the home to the Nexus, the Denver Data Haven, a repository of more black information than Maria Mercurial's diary, maybe. It's all waiting for you, chummer. Can you handle it? Denver is a boxed campaign set for Shadowrun 2nd edition. Did I say it was the 1st edition in the intro? I think I did. Whoops, it's 2nd edition, it says on the cover here. It contains a player's guidebook full of public and shadow information about the city and its surroundings, and a gamemaster sourcebook that describes the locations, local folks, secrets, and surprises of the Treaty City, as well as offering rules and suggestions for making Denver as dangerous as it gets. The campaign or set also includes a poster-sized colour map of the Front Range Free Zone, and a pair of security travel passes for 2 of the city's 6 sectors. Which will you get, chummer? Aslan, CAS, Pueblo, Sioux, Ute, or Yucas. There's only one way to find out. Yes, they give you 2 small plastic travel passes for 2 of the sectors at random within the box. Now, there's only 1 copy of each card, so I don't see what use they really are as handouts in a game. They're really just feelies, something for the games master to put in their wallet to go, oh look, see, I've got a pass card for the UCAS sector or whatever. But as we open up, we'll see which cards we got. Now, opening the box up, and I'll put the lid to the side there, where hopefully it won't fall. We've got the Games Master book, and the books have very stylized covers. Now, the blue one I don't like so much, but this red cover for the City of Shadows book itself, I love. That is a gorgeous piece of black and white art, really highlighted in red. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. Love that. And back in images on each. Not so good, but kind of cool stuff. We've got a FASA 1994 catalogue, which we'll have a flip through in a second. We've got a map of the city, a map of the surrounds, a mailback card if we want to receive more information about Shadowrun, our 2 travel passes. Now we have the Confederate American States Denver Sector Travel Pass, with space for a picture on the back and a little piece of information. It's an alright feelie, I suppose. And a Ute Nation Denver Sector Travel Pass. Fathers of the American Indian Reclamation. Bearer hereby agrees to be bound by the laws and nations of the Ute... Laws and customs of the Ute Nation. Margaret stands firm, the Ute Sector Administrator, with space for your signature on there. Which are kind of interesting. I'll put them to the side, we don't need to look at them anymore. And then there's 2 things in the bottom of the box. An advert for the Shadowrun SNES game, the Super Nintendo game. And an advert for the Shadowrun Genesis game. Now, I know a lot of people adored the Genesis game, but I never actually played it myself. I played the SNES game, and I thought it was fantastic. I played that game right the way through, and I think the new Shadowrun games on the PC, Shadowrun Returns, Hong Kong Stories, and Dragon something or other, are kind of follow-ups in style to the SNES one, and I love those games so much. I've played those through multiple times. Let's have a quick look through the catalogue before we actually get on to the Denver stuff itself. I'll throw that to the side. So what were they advertising at the time in 1994? We've got Earthdawn. So Earthdawn and a bunch of books. I've covered the Earthdawn book and the companion itself. We've got the various novels, we've got various adventures here. Mists of Betrayal, I think I've got that one. We've got Battletech game systems. So Battletech itself and Mech Warrior. We've got Battle Space, the Battletech game of space combat. City Tech, the game of urban combat. Aerotech, Battle Force, Battle Troops. A Mad Cat vinyl kit. Various source books covering the clans, so Jade Falcon and the Wolf Clan. House Kurita. Now we've got the technical readouts, and although I didn't stay with Battletech for long, I got the original box set and I played a bit of that, but I adore these technical books. I love books with diagrams of future technology and starships and all that, and these books are absolutely jam-packed of mechs, tanks, warships, spaceships, everything. I love these books. These are really, really good. What else we got? Virtual reality Battletech. Play it at the following sites. Battletech scenarios, game aids. A lot of space being spent on Battletech here, obviously was the big seller. A Genesis game. Then we're on to Shadowrun. So we've got the second edition. We've got DMZ, which I've covered in the past. Denver itself, with a slightly different cover. Because if I bring back the box, you can see the example one's more purple. I actually prefer that layout of Denver than I do the actual box. Germany sourcebook, I've covered the London one. I think I've covered the Seattle sourcebook. Tirna Nog, Tirtan Geier, Sprawl Sites, which I've covered. Fields of Fire, which I really want to. And Street Samurai and Shadowtech I've covered. So many of these books I absolutely adore. The Grimoire there. Shadowbeat. The Riggerback book, which just entered the poll this week. And the Paranormal Animals ones. Advert for the SNES game. A bunch of Shadowrun adventures. Some really, really good ones there. I've played through so many of these. Sprawl maps, which I think is one of the few things for Shadowrun 1st and 2nd edition I never got. I pretty much have a complete collection. When I first got Shadowrun, the 1st edition, I picked it up in a local shop and I decided that I wanted to get it all. However, once we reached sort of 3rd edition, there was just too much coming out and I just couldn't afford everything. So we've got a map here of Denver and its surrounds, showing the way that the different nations break up the city. So we've got them color-coded here. So Pueblo, CAS, UCAS. We've got the downtown area, the Ute, the Sioux Nation, and Aslan, all breaking the city of Denver up into pieces. Then we've got a sort of street map of the city itself. I will unfold it to where I've got a bit more space. We have a huge big map with the various points of interest down the side here, listing out so you can navigate your way around the city and point out to your players where things are. Lovely stuff. And now we're getting into the book. We've been recording for ages and we're only getting into the book now. So I'm probably going to flick through it quite quickly so we're not here all day. So, contents. Very nice artwork from FASA at this time. Their production qualities were very, very high. And it's laid out much like all the other Shadowrun books, where you've got descriptive text written from an in-world point of view, and then boxed out, which are comments. So, like YouTube comments now, Shadowrun has comments on the text within the book from people within the game world. So, while the government may say something, then Shadowrunners and other posters might make comments which change it. I have no intention of ever moving back to the backwater burg of Seattle. Seattle, the main site of Shadowrun. Now, this piece of art I don't really think suits Shadowrun. I think it's more Battletech, it's more high-tech, futuristic, but it's not out of spec for what could be there. But this is definitely Shadowrun stuff. Anyway, we go into the what you need to know. So we've got different descriptions of the areas, the surrounds of the city, what the weather's like, just everything you need to describe what living in Denver is like to your players. How to come and go by air, on the road, how to get around in the city, an extensive subway system, the outer boundaries, sector demarcators. So it's explaining, because as the United States fragmented in the Shadowrun world, Denver was at the very point where a number of these nations met. So the city was split between them. And there's a bunch of other stuff which split the city in other ways. Vehicular crossings, talking about extradition treaties between the different areas, and then we're on to the history of how it happened. The US government was collapsing, the Native Americans had access to magic as the Sixth World emerged, and reclaimed their countries. And Denver got caught right in the middle, becoming very much like Berlin. It mentions the plan Weiss proposed was basically the same one as the East German government had used in 1961. So this is very much East and West Berlin, but it's split in more ways. There's more nations involved here. And I really do like it from that. It's taking a historical situation and applying it to the Shadowrun world. How it is now. So talking about the governing council, because each of the nations get to say in roughly how the cities run. They've got complete control of their own sectors, but they advise on a citywide basis. Now, all of this is kind of now outdated, because Denver in Shadowrun now, a dragon emerged, being reborn from where President Dunkelson the dragon died, and has claimed the city and taken it over. And who's going to argue with a dragon after all? We've got all the nice stuff here: death taxes, VAT, income tax, national taxes. I'm just going through stuff here: firefighting, all the information on how the city works. Independent news, trust no one except us, KMAG, Independent Newsnet. Then we've got the real power. So because Denver is split between all these countries, but it's very easy to walk around the city, it's a core for smuggling. So people can smuggle things through Denver out to the independent countries. So there's a lot of underworld contacts here. So there's organised crime. We've got the Mafia and the Yakuza having large claims on the city. Other organisations, the gangs, the triads. Action Trid of the Year, Cyber Ninja 4, Return of the Radman. That just sounds so 80s, but it's supposed to be in the 2060s. Smuggling and T-Bird runs. So vertical takeoff and landing tanks are used for smuggling over the borders. Running the Autobahn. And then we're on to the section about the Nexus, the Denver Data Haven. Again, because Denver is between the different governments, it's very difficult for governments to strike at the data being moved around within Denver. Difficult to track across borders exactly where the data is being hidden. So in the Shadowrun world, the largest dark databases are all stored in Denver. It's the big place to go where you want information. So we've got the internet, the dawn of the Matrix, the Matrix location. Oh, I skipped a page there. The new internet, the crash. Just going through the history. Data Haven security. And we've got the characters who run the Nexus. We introduced the Otaku here, who are hackers who can plug their brains directly into the internet. Then we start going through the independent sectors. So we've got Aslan, the South American blood magic country. Bad guys. If there's an actual villain in Shadowrun, it's probably Aslan. So we've got all their independent pieces of information about their population, travel passes, what fines are for carrying weapons, chips, drugs, alcohol, cyber decks, places of interest within it. So we've got hotels, restaurants, bars, government buildings, just all the information you might need. And then we're on to the CAS sector. So border security, all the same sort of things. What your government is like, your weapons, punishments, fines, repeated over, but all slightly different for each sector. Again, places of interest. And then we're on to the Pueblo sector. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who lives here, how to make money. But again, we're going through the laws and government, weapon fines, the same table, just altered again. Places of interest. We're on to the Sioux sector, laying out the maps for that. How to get in, who lives there. The same information, or the same sections repeated over and over, but broken down for each of the sectors within the city. Again, we see the weapon fine table, places to visit. And then we're on to the UCAS sector. I believe this is the last of them. No, I think there's one more after that, actually. The Universal Brotherhood, which I've covered before. We've got the politics, costs of living, percentage of Seattle prices. So certain things are more expensive, certain things are cheaper. Apparently surveillance countermeasures are cheap in Denver. Probably due to the data haven and all the technology people who are there who don't want to be monitored. Places of interest. Again, the artwork is quite nice, showing how it was secure, but it's not being monitored. And we've got the Ute Nation as the last one. And again, we go through the government there, cost of living involved, law enforcement, weapons fines, exactly the same stuff, places of interest. And then we've got a very detailed index to go through. Now, all of that is absolutely fascinating, but I think the real meat is in this gamemaster book, because what they do in this is very, very interesting. It's probably been done in other role-playing games, but this is the first occasion I can think of seeing it. So we go into the gamemaster book, and it's broken down with basically what's the true information. If this book, the player's book, is the information existing publicly within the world, what's the truth of the matter? So we've got Games Mastering Denver, just general Games Master information. Then we've got the spirit of Denver. Denver itself had a magical spirit which was created by the city. So like in Shadowrun, you've got nature spirits, so a spirit of the forest, spirit of the city. Denver has its own city spirit. But two mages were trying to bind that massive spirit. And not only did they get incinerated and killed, but they tore the spirit in half, which led to the fragmentation of the city. Because if the spirit is a manifestation of the city, then the city is a representation of the spirit. So as the spirit got torn apart, the people within the city also started to get fragmented, leading to the city being divided into bits. We've got the fragmentation of it and the implications, consequences. We've got the spirits themselves. And this is where it gets really interesting, because with every character in here, we've got 3 options. So for every character, not only do you have who they are, but you've got 3 options. So if a player grabs this, they don't actually know what's going on. If the player reads through, they can see the options which are available to the Games Master, but the Games Master themselves can decide what the truth of the city is. And there's 3 versions of each character, 3 versions of everything to go through. So we've got people here. Jeremy Falloon. Option A, use the city official archetype. Option B, use the bodyguard archetype. Option C, use the city official archetype. He didn't take down the gangers. Many people wonder who did it. Falloon among them. So he doesn't know. He's got a reputation of taking down the gangsters, but it wasn't him. Fascinating stuff, and a really good way to give a Games Master so many options. And it must have been so much work for Nigel D. Findley Because not only does he have to come up with a background for every character, he's got to come up with 3 backgrounds for every character, as well as the public one. So we go through Draco form here. We've got a dragon of a type, a feathered serpent, lots of humans, dwarves, the different meta-humanity within the city, the data haven, and we've actually got options for the data haven itself, locations and organizations. Again, you know, all the organizations, everything. You've got 3 options for everything. So you can tailor Denver to exactly what you want and make it so fleshed out. Well, it's already fleshed out for you, but there's so many options for you to make it your own within this. The Yakuza, and then we've got rules. So ability to get through air travel, airport security, border security, to help the Games Master handle smuggling far better, because it's not really detailed too well in the main rules. Got various drones here. So what the government use to patrol the borders. Creating and forging cred sticks. We've used those rules in my campaign where I was a player on many occasions. Very useful, because in Shadowrun you shoot somebody and you take their money, but will you be actually able to get access to that money because it's securely stored? We've got living in Denver, so there's increased drain for the way magic works, the fragmentation of power, playing the market, comparative costs, exchange rates between the different money, restricted items and software. There's actually a range of different manacles and things here. Cyber restraint gloves, a mage mask, a skill twitcher, which you plug into somebody's data jack and it makes their muscles twitch. So while they're under arrest, they're not capable of doing things because they're constantly twitching. Criminal charges, sentencing and punishment. And then we're through to the Shadowrun Network, an advert for Bug City coming out fall of '94, just where you least expect them, and the finish of it. So that's Denver City of Shadows. I really, really like it. I was massively disappointed by what they did by introducing the dragon into it. I think they watered it down a lot, and they wasted this box set, which was fantastic. I cannot speak highly enough of this. I haven't ever ran an ongoing campaign of Shadowrun. I've just run one-offs, but I think Denver would be a strong contender for where I'd want to run it, because there's just so many options and information in this box. So that was Denver City of Shadows for Shadowrun, and that won the poll this week, but it only swung ahead at the last minute, because up until the last couple of days, Bangkok's Cesspool of the Orient for Twilight 2000 had been winning, and I was totally expecting to have to make a video on that. It was only last night, when I got around to checking the poll to prepare to make the video today, that I noticed Denver City of Shadows had jumped ahead. So that was a total surprise to me. But the rest of the games go out of the poll because they've lost their final chance to come back in. Although, obviously, with a limited collection, I'm going to have to go back to them at some point. But that's probably years off. But we go back to the games which had survived the last poll, which continue through. So we've got the Arms and Equipment Guide for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. We've got the Dungeons & Dragons Expert Set by TSR in 1983, one of the boxes behind me there. And we've got Mark Miller's Traveller from Imperium Games in 1996. They all carry on through from the last poll. And we add to them. So I've added the Last Command sourcebook for the Star Wars role-playing game by West End Games, which is a third of the Thrawn trilogy of sourcebooks. And we've covered the first 2 of those, and those videos were very popular, as D6 seems to be making a bit of a resurgence on the channel. For a long time, Games Designers Workshop games have been the big hit on this channel, but Star Wars and D6 related stuff is really, really popular now. So we'll see how that does. And I've also put in the Rigger Black Book, also for Shadowrun 1st Edition, because it's one of those core books where Shadowrun 1st Edition fleshed out the different classes. So they had the Street Samurai catalogue, they had the Grimoire, they had virtual realities, and we've covered a bunch of those So I'd like to carry on covering them, so I put in the Rigger's Black Book, which is a nice one. I've still got virtual realities to cover and paranormal animals. Probably should cover at some point as well, but that's in the future. Anyway, I think I've whittled on for quite long enough, so thank you very, very much for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment below, as it does do me massive favours with the YouTube algorithm. But most of all, as always, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.